So thank you again, Mr. Secretary. With that, I want to recognize the distinguished ranking member, Congresswoman Barbara Lee, for her opening statements. You're recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon. I'd like to add my welcome to you, Mr. Secretary, and I want to thank you for your testimony regarding the President's proposed fiscal 2024 budget request for State Department, Foreign Operations and related programs. Secretary Blinken, first of all, your travel and your energy are truly inspirational. We appreciate the active and robust diplomacy on the part of the United States, and there is no doubt that it is sorely needed with the challenges that we faced on just about every continent. And I too want to salute and thank all of the employees of the Department of State. You know, we do have three legs of our national security policy: development, diplomacy, and defense. And certainly the two that you are shepherding has been amazing in the last few years, but also we need to have more resources in development and diplomacy. You're showing how diplomacy works. The work done by this administration, in large part to you, thanks to you and the State Department, has kept a global coalition together in support of Ukraine and the condemnation of Russian aggression. This diplomacy increases the chance of us getting to a lasting and peaceful resolution. The past year, we have seen a truce in Ethiopia hold beyond expectations. U.S.-led efforts with partners around the world to respond to massive natural disasters and food security crises and new global leadership breakthroughs, such as the new malaria vaccine, getting ready to roll out. Great accomplishment. These achievements have not been possible without the active United States and its leadership. But meeting these challenges requires the United States to have the presence, the tools, and resources to show up, engage in dialogue and consensus building, and hold everyone, including ourselves, accountable for hard-fought commitments. It is this primacy of our diplomacy and development work to both the United States' strategic interests as well as global peace and stability that makes me so concerned about the cuts being considered by the new Republican majority for fiscal 2024. The administration's request recognizes the need for the United States to engage in every fora, especially where those that do not share our values are present. A cut in resources will exacerbate vaccines development, stunt efforts to build a skilled and, yes, diverse staff. And this does not mean the definition that's used about woke. We want the staff to reflect the population of the United States. And also, the budget undermines engagement at all levels, putting the United States on a back foot. Reductions would delay both physical and cybersecurity upgrades needed to keep the United States facilities and personnel safe and secure. And cuts would cripple United States efforts to invest in sustainable development goals, the framework agreed by every single country to tackle shared challenges like gender inequality, extreme hunger and poverty, and threats to public health. I hope that you will discuss this administration's ongoing approach to building partnerships in sub-Saharan Africa, where, of course, the last administration called these countries S-hole countries, and the Caribbean, both of which represent untapped potential for U.S. engagement. My colleagues are often quick to focus on the influence of the People's Republic of China. I will point out that China has now more embassies and more diplomats around the world than the United States does. Simply, we are being outmanned and outwomaned since countries recently are clamoring for greater partnerships with the United States. So we've got to figure out a strategy to close this gap. Another area that we can't afford to fall back on is global health. United States leadership and investment has helped millions to survive and thrive, but these gains are fragile. The world is organizing to make sure we are better prepared to detect and respond to the next disease outbreak. Cuts to global health funding will prove short-sighted the next time a pandemic from abroad comes to our shores. The COVID pandemic cost trillions of dollars in global economic output. We cannot afford to put preparedness on the back burner again. And last but not least, we must get on track to deal with the existential challenge of climate change. I joined the most recent Conference of Parties, or COP, in Egypt last October, as you were there also, and many of our colleagues, which is the largest gathering of policymakers, experts, and activists on climate annually. Every person I came across emphasized the need for United States leadership and their frustration that resources and action have not matched our rhetoric. The people suffering from most extreme weather, changing climate patterns, and the loss of biodiversity are those who had the smallest role in causing these changes. Decades of investment in agriculture, health, and infrastructure are being wiped out by these new climate trends. Countries are slowly being swallowed by the sea. My constituents in California certainly understand. And I expect those suffering from hurricanes in Florida, drought in the Southwest, or flooding in the Midwest do also. The United States has a moral responsibility and a self-interest to address the drivers, of these changes and the effects of the most vulnerable. We need to do much more on climate change, not less. Mr. Secretary, it's evident the administration has worked very hard over the past 2 years to restore America's global reputation and promote engagement and dialogue with international organizations and partners. My colleagues on the other side of the aisle bring some distinct priorities, but I believe we all end at the same conclusion. Active United States leadership and engagement leads to better outcomes for both our country and, I hope we would agree, the rest of the world. A more stable, peaceful, democratic, and prosperous world depends on an active and engaged United States. A robust and growing international affairs budget is desperately needed to achieve this. And so I want to thank you again for your tireless work on behalf of our country and for being with our subcommittee today, and I look forward to your testimony.